Meghan is one of the crassest opportunists that it has been anyone's displeasure to have to encounter. She has used not only race, she has used everything that she could. Meghan is like a sculptress who is working in clay, and she just grabs the clay, and if it's she then twists it and turns it into whatever she thinks is going to reflect well upon herself. I mean, how is it that somebody who has done everything in her power to erase every sign of her African heritage then jumped upon the bandwagon? It's so crass, it's so obvious. And had Meghan chooses to jump on bandwagons which she thinks will give her approbation, and that she can then somehow spin so that she will end up being regarded as a great leader. I mean, the woman is totally out to lunch.
Then the plan, the cynical plan, kicks into gear, Lady Colin Campbell, with this interview that changed everything. But actually, it's worth thinking about, isn't it, Lady C, before the interview, how orchestrated all of this was. Meghan waited until she was heavily pregnant, but the conversations with Oprah Winfrey had been going on when Meghan was still a fully fledged member of the royal family. The narrative that Meghan was trying to feed Oprah Winfrey right from the start was that she was a victim of racism. Racism, by the way, that never was there.
Well, do you want me to comment?
Please.
Or are you... Oh, I thought you might have been showing some of the interview.
No, please, you go ahead.
I have been in two minds as to whether Meghan decided that she needed to go down the treacherous road to perdition once the Queen thwarted her with half in, half out. I'm not sure, though, that she would not have elected to go down that route no matter what. Because remember, at the time, Black Lives Matter was a huge thing. And Meghan has never been able to resist jumping on a bandwagon, no matter what the bandwagon was. And I mean, this is a woman who passed for white for most of her life.
Well, she actually was Caucasian when she defined herself. I mean, on her acting resume, she described herself as Caucasian.
And she made sure that she eradicated every sign of her African heritage with plastic surgery and beauty treatments and hair straightening, etc. So she really was a race denier. But once it became useful, and I mean, she played the race card, if you remember, from having orchestrated the situation so that when she was going out with Harry and she was just a girlfriend, she was really a bonk. And she made sure that she solidified her position by being declared his official girlfriend in the Sunday Express story that broke the news of their relationship. And everything was ready in place in the United States of America that day for all the publications in the United States of America to pick up her approved line, which they did. And if you stop to think that there, within a week of the declaration being made that she was Harry's official girlfriend, she got Harry to threatening to leave him if he didn't protect her against racist and sexist comments. Well, she's a woman, he's a man. Obviously, they're going to comment on her sex, but nobody was actually commenting adversely on her race. There was the one headline in the Mail Online, which was done in the United States of America. It wasn't done in England, about Straight Out of Compton. Well, that famous actor who was in The Bodyguard, what's his name? I'd forgotten it. He
Kevin
was with
Costner.
Kevin Costner. He's Straight Out of Compton. But I mean, she used the slimmest things to because she knew that there were so many bodies buried that the press were going to discover about her. So she got Harry to get Jason
Right
North
from the
within a
start.
week. Sorry?
Right from the start.
That's right. So she played the race card the first week.
When, Lady
And
C, let's be honest about it, none of us in the media knew who this woman was. We certainly didn't judge her because of her race, because of the fact she had a black mother. I mean, it was ludicrous. And it was so desperate. I mean, do you remember that front page when Sarah Vine in the Daily Mail wrote that she had niggling doubts about Meghan Markle? Well, those niggling doubts have proved to be right. And that was turned into some sort of racism scandal. That's sick. That's sick if you can't use words in the English language. I was also criticized of the same thing because I would sometimes use the very well-known phrase whiter than white. So they were looking for reasons, and you're right. Straight Out of Compton, which had no race connotations whatsoever, was used right from day one. And it was the only real example.
Also, let's remember, poor Rachel Johnson said that she was exotic. Well, I've been called exotic. I mean, exotic is actually a compliment. All of a sudden, it became a racist insult. But she was playing the race card from the word go. So, would she have still, if they had been allowed to be half in, half out, would she have still played the race card? I suspect there would have been no necessity to do so, but she, being the crass and vulgar opportunist that she is, she would have played it nevertheless.
But Lady C, it's very important that you mention Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, because sometimes it's easy to forget how celebrities cashed in, quite literally in many cases, on that hysteria. And in June 2020, when Meghan's plan was developing, she decided to go public. This is before the Oprah interview, of course, 9 months before the Oprah interview. She decides to go public with her own personal feelings on George Floyd. Let's watch this.
I was really nervous that I wouldn't, or that it would get picked apart. And I realized the only wrong thing to say is to say nothing. Because George Floyd's life mattered, and Breonna Taylor's life mattered, and Philando Castile's life mattered, and Tamir Rice's life mattered. And so did so many other people whose names we know and whose names we do not know. Stephon Clark, his life mattered. So the first thing I want to say to you is that I'm sorry. I am so sorry that you have to grow up in a world where this is still present. I am sorry that in a way we have not gotten the world to the place that you deserve it to be.
So this was the start, Lady C, this was the start of Meghan trying to take on an activist persona, and it was very cynical.
Meghan is one of the crassest opportunists that it has been anyone's displeasure to have to encounter. She is she has used not only race, she has used everything that she could. Meghan is like a sculptress who is working in clay, and she just grabs the clay, and if it's she then twists it and turns it into whatever she thinks is going to reflect well upon herself. I mean, how is it that somebody who has done everything in her power to erase every sign of her African heritage then jumped upon the bandwagon? It's so crass, it's so obvious. And had Meghan has chooses to jump on bandwagons which she thinks will give her approbation, and that she can then somehow spin so that she will end up being regarded as a great leader. I mean, the woman is totally out to lunch. But
Yes.
it has taken it has taken years of people seeing her jumping on bandwagons to actually realize that there is no substance there. It's not about the cause. It's Meghan jumping on causes to elevate herself. And but it's, at first people would have thought, oh well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt, or yeah, she's a woman of color, she's compassionate, and except of course she's not. and but it's taken people a while to figure that out. But in the meantime, look at the havoc she's caused. At the time of that clip, I had African and West Indian diplomats coming up to me at events and complaining about Meghan, and saying to me, that because obviously I'm Jamaican, and saying that they approved of what I was doing in terms of not allowing the race baiting to go on, because I was busy calling out Meghan as a race baiter long before most other people were.
Absolutely, you
And
were. At a
but
time.
the diplomats in the West Indies and in Africa, who I was in contact with, and some of whom I'm still in contact with, they understood the damage she was doing in the Commonwealth, and I think it's worked its way through to a large extent. But a few years ago, the damage she did was tremendous.
Huge. Huge. But first, you know how often I talk about the need for free speech to be protected? Well, I've been increasingly thinking of the need for personal protection from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers online. And I'm delighted to tell you I've now found the fail-safe solution. But what's more, this VPN, or virtual private network to use the full term, is also a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. So let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible and easy to use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activities stay safe so you can shop, stream, browse, and conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark go way beyond keeping you safe online. It allows you to access your favorite entertainment, news shows, and channels, including to streaming services like Hulu, iPlayer, HBO Max, and Peacock. Or if your favorite show is blocked on Netflix, like Survivor for me here in the UK, or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, within seconds you can be watching as if you're in another country. If you're traveling for work or on holiday, you can also get all your favorite content from home, including sports. And this is an insurance policy against creeping censorship in many countries like France, which has now blocked Rumble for many months. Watch anything, anytime, anywhere. It's true freedom, which I am here for. Oh, a VPN can save you money too, because you can get the best deals from websites that change their prices depending on where you're buying from. There are other benefits too. You can use Surfshark on unlimited devices. That means your entire household can stay safe with just one subscription. And with over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, there is a world of choice at your fingertips with 24/7 customer service if this is your first time using a VPN. Go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, Surfshark are so confident they're the best VPN in the world that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you'll get your money back. So that is www.surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. But now, back to the show. Obviously, Lady C, this all builds up. And the context, I mean, personally, I believe Meghan was planning this from her time in the royal family, but George Floyd and Black Lives Matter supercharges her plot. So in March 2021, finally the interview happens. She sits down with Oprah Winfrey and she literally invents a witch hunt within the palace over the so-called royal races. Now, we know this never happened, Lady C. Even Harry has now had to admit this was a complete figment of the imagination. But the questions that Meghan said within the palace were about whether Archie would be given a royal title and security, but also how dark his skin might be when he was born. Now, surely if there were questions about whether Archie would be given a royal title, it involves how Archie was born. It would be nothing to do with the fact that his mother was mixed race. But what do you make of her claims to Oprah, which of course were designed to inflict maximum damage on the royal family, and they were made, let's never forget this, with Prince Philip in his dying days in hospital?
Well, she, in my view, she knowingly set out I don't think her primary objective was to damage. I think her primary objective was to deify herself, glorify herself, present herself as being a victim along the lines of George Floyd and Breonna and all the others who had suffered, and their suffering was but a mere bagatelle compared to her great suffering. So I think it's the opportunism that kicks in. But I think that she recklessly used that because she thought it was going to play well. But I actually think that she also understood in a peculiar sort of way that if she did this, she would be focusing attention on herself. I think it was a great ploy, but she you know, listen, I'm Jamaican. I come from a background where all sorts of races intermingle. And, you have white Jamaicans, brown Jamaicans, black Jamaicans, yellow Jamaicans, and sometimes in a family, you have all sorts of combinations. And it is perfectly normal, not even in terms of interracial marriages, but if one parent is blonde and the other is brunette, it's perfectly standard to speculate what color the child's hair is going to be, what color the child's eyes are going to be. And in a mixed race, it's perfectly normal to speculate, will the child's complexion be fairer or darker? That's not racist. That's just normal conversation. And Meghan knew only too well that Archie could not be given what she would call a royal title. She knew it only too well because he was the great-grandson of the monarch. And as the great-grandson of the monarch, he wasn't entitled to what she called a royal title. She knew this. Harry knew this. This was a total invention and a total lie on their part, in part to cover up for the fact that there is speculation that Archie was never entitled to succeed to the dukedom of Sussex. So that's what that's all about.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was. And of course, very, very quickly, this interview would backfire in spectacular fashion. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.